going on, folks? EJR here again. It's been a minute since I last talked to you guys once again because I've been recovering from my Texas trip with Sonuts over here. I figured since I'm all done finally farming out all of the Texas footage to you guys, I'd finally do the BMW Reveal, which is what's under this sheet right here. Quick side note, I got a TV mounted. But back to the bike. I guess I'm gonna go ahead now and yank this sheet off and let's see what's underneath. Alright folks, there she is, all said and done. When Eric originally dropped this bike off to me, it was literally just a bone stock bike with the exception of the stainless Acura exhaust and the Samco hoses on it. Other than that, literally bone stock. Alright, now what I'm going to show you guys is front to back what's been changed on this bike since he dropped it off. And for the obvious, as you can see, it's missing a front rotor. It now only has one rotor in the front and one brake line going right down to that caliper. It's been lowered exactly 2 inches on the forks, as well as some CRG carbon levers, and now has a strap in the front. We also added some Brock's caliper delete spacers, so when you eliminate the caliper, you don't have the strap over here, in which could actually twist the bike a little when you full strap it. So now, the strap points are exactly parallel to each other. Also, try to ignore this missing bolt right here. I can't. Unfortunately, the previous person who worked on this bike broke the clip back here, and they just put the actual clamp back there and screwed the bolt back in. There was nothing actually there. That drives me out of my mind. Moving on, we've eliminated the bar ends. We don't need those, especially if they have a good balanced front tire. We also eliminated the mirrors with some carbon Yoshimura block-off plates. It's hard to see in here, but you can see that gold tape right there. The airbox is now wrapped. The pair system is gone, charcoal canister is gone, and any other emissions underneath there are eliminated. Inside that wrapped airbox is a Sprint P08 F185 filter. It's my filter of choice that I put in all my bikes. It's what's in that bike, it's what's in my 10. The factory servo motor that goes right here for the front header is also eliminated. I've completely eliminated the front sprocket cover and just replaced the bolts to hold the chain guide in, because you do want to keep that in the event that the chain snaps. What'll happen is the chain can fold over and force 2 links by the case and crack the case right there. So that's just some added protection, eliminating a little bit of weight, and I think it looks a little better too. While we're on the sprocket cover, we might as well go over the chain and sprockets. This is an EK3D 520 GP chain. It has 2 master links on it, so I could have extended it a little bit so we can fit the Evil 2-to-6 arm on the bike. That is a 17-tooth front superlight sprocket and a 44-tooth aluminum rear superlight sprocket. Moving on to the opposite side, we've completely eliminated the rear brake. This is all that stands left of the actual rear set that we need, which is just the foot peg area. There's nothing in here anymore. We've also eliminated the servo motor that would plug in right there. This is now an Acura carbon bracket. We eliminated the rear seat and went with a factory OEM seat cowl. Those are just some bolts from a local hardware store to fill those holes that were there. Jumping underneath the seat, we have an EarthX 12A battery, which is 1.3 pounds, and we have just the circuit board for the ABS pump. The actual heavy part of the pump is missing, and it will throw an ABS light on the dash. However, the bike still runs and operates fine. We still have the speedo. That's what I did in Sonny's bike or any other ABS bike that I work with. The only remaining brake line is the one that goes from the master right down to the remaining caliper, and that's it. As far as tires are concerned on this bike, I went with the Michelin Power RS front 120/60, a slightly lower profile that I also put on my other bikes. In the back, I went with a 190/55 on the HP wheel instead of a 180/55, simply because the HP wheel is a little wider than the cast OEM wheel, and it comes with a 255 tire on it. So if you run a 180/55 tire on this bike, it's going to actually square the tire and take away a lot of the crown. It's also going to shorten the tire a lot. So I stick with a 190/55 on an HP wheel for that particular reason. Shed a little bit of weight, get a little bit of tire diameter out of it, but nothing too crazy. Now I'm sure some of you want to know, after I've stripped all of this stuff out of this bike, what's it actually weigh? Well, here you go. The front was 159 pounds, the kickstand was 116 pounds, and the rear was 98 pounds, totaling 373 pounds. Now that is between a half gallon and a full gallon of fuel in the tank. It's not quite empty. As of right now, I want to say this bike with a carbon exhaust system and carbon rotobox wheels would weigh exactly what my 10 weighs, which all makes sense if you think about it, because All of these bikes are built to compete in, say, World Superbike, GP, etc., etc. So all of these racing classes, they have to be competitive with each other. So it only makes sense that with a max effort build, they all generally weigh the same. Right now, all three of these bikes with the same parts, my guess is they're all within 3 to 4 pounds of each other, which I say is pretty damn competitive. I'd say once Eric recovers from spending all this money on this bike, his next mods of choice should be the carbon inlet to kind of open up some of this a little bit here, get more air in there. Definitely some Rotobox wheels. Replace the stainless header of this exhaust with a titanium one, which you can actually have special orders. You don't need the muffler to be replaced, it's the same muffler. Some nice rear sets to replace what remains of the stock ones. Those things look pretty hideous right now. I would say if he wants to take weight even a step further, to go full race tail, which would be eliminating the seat cowl, and all of that, and it would just be one slide-on tail, I would go with carbon, and then he would actually have to get like a little LED brake light to go right there. Same with the blinkers if you wanted to keep those, but I personally don't care about them because race bike. As far as tuning is concerned, we went with the Bren Final Edition Flash on this bike. If you wanted to take that a step further, what you could do is eliminate the O2 sensors in the bike and then go to a piggyback style system like a Bazaz or a Power Commander or something along those lines. That way you can do some custom tailored street tuning with the bike yourself. That's something that I might tell Eric to do down the road, but for now, he's got one hell of a ride to try and get used to, because like I said, this was a stock bike with just an exhaust system on it. And at the time, he's like, yeah, this bike's pretty fast. I'm like, well, he really doesn't know. We got a lot of weight out of this bike, and once he experiences first gear, he's going to understand why that swing arm is so important on these BMWs. Once the weather kind of gets a little warmer and the roads get a little cleaner out here, I got to take this bike out to get some official GPS numbers on it and possibly get some runs in with maybe Reloaded or somebody else, maybe the other BMW that I did. I do think though that this is probably the fastest BMW that I've touched. I'd love to have some carbon wheels and the other stuff on it to really max effort this bike, but for now, I'd say 373 pounds with a gallon of fuel in it is pretty damn impressive for what it is. But alright guys, that about wraps up the reveal for this BMW. Stay tuned for the next episode where I talk about GPS numbers and how the bike actually performs on the street. But as usual, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, give it a thumbs down if you hated it and hated me, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and if you already have subscribed, make sure you hit the bell icon so you get notified of more videos like this. And obviously of my racing videos as well. But alright guys, hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.